Recently, the shelf block finally made its way over to the Java edition of Minecraft in the newest snapshots, and since recently I made a video where I showcased over 50 different ways to use the shelf, I decided I should put it to use in a more realistic setting. So I'm on my house world where I'm going to be improving a bunch of my old builds with the new features from the fall drop. I'm mostly going to try using shelves, but I'm also going to try to find uses for the new copper blocks like the copper chains, copper bars, and copper lanterns. So let's get right into it and see what I can think of. See, I don't really have a direction for this video. I was just kind of going to go around and see where I think shelves would look good. Just kind of test them out, you know, see what ideas I cook up. I don't know. I kind of like the way I look at like the base of foundation stuff. So I think that looks pretty good. Like I feel like that looks really good, unless I'm wrong. I like the shape it has. Also, like under here, I think it looked pretty good. One thing I immediately thought of as the Google Earth guy is, of course, garages. I mentioned that in my tip video. But we're gonna do some more realistic kind of setting tests here and see if they actually look good in builds or not, which I'm kind of excited about because I haven't had time to properly like use these in builds or anything yet because they're still in snapshot and I need like world data and stuff. So yeah, I like that. Maybe like a pale Wxsteri. Again, yeah, sorry, this video will have like no actual direction. I'm just kind of yapping and building. Something like that I think looks pretty good. Kind of use stairs to like lead the shape down, make it less like abrupt. That's pretty cool. I think it'll look pretty good on this house because, like, I don't know. The way I usually do garages, which is something like this, it just looks weird because it comes out and so like goes in. Obviously, like, a garage door wouldn't do that in real life. But I didn't like the way trapdoors looked a block back because they just didn't look like they had enough depth. But I think these look good. Real quick, I want to use this video as sort of a bit of a PSA here. They already kind of ruined shelves. It took them one version, which is, you know, crazy. One single snapshot, and they already killed a cool part of the functionality. But as you can see, the items are now really small and just in the bottom instead of being like very large and taking up like a huge chunk of space, which really sucks. Honestly, it's very sad. So I don't know, maybe they got a feedback thing or something to revert that. But yeah, it kind of ruins a lot of tricks that I used in the other video. You can't really do a fireplace with them anymore because they just don't connect no matter what you do. Which does suck. I'm sure there'll be like some other uses for them now that they're this small. I think it makes more sense for the blocks to look this small, but it's just kind of sad, honestly. But yeah, still cool as like a building block though. I think they'll look pretty good in this build. This was a Google Earth build where I built a house from, I believe this is Bulgaria. I could be wrong, but I think this looks pretty good as like the molding that was kind of around this. I don't know what actually to call this. I'm not an architect, okay? But yeah, in the actual house, these sort of white parts came out a bit. So I think this, how do I get this block out? Okay, so I think that kind of is actually a really cool use for it. Can I add trims to builds? I never actually thought of that. Let me, I said this video would have no actual goal, so I'm allowed to just build stuff. I think this could actually look pretty cool. One second here, let me quick mock up here. All right, so we got a super quick like kind of mock up of a house here. Obviously not super detailed or anything, but I figured, I don't know if this will actually look good or not. It might be sort of a scale thing because that doesn't look good. But I think it will look good. One second. All right, so we have a bit bigger of a scale house here. I think basically you could use these to like frame off a house instead of using full logs. What's going on here? Can you not copy a blank sign anymore? One second. Okay, it works with a letter, but does it work with an empty sign? Oh my god, that's so annoying. They gotta fix that, please. You can't copy an empty sign anymore. So you have to like confirm every time, whatever, that's kind of annoying. Anyway, not the point of the video. But yeah, I think that's a interesting way to sort of make like frames instead of having it come out a whole block with something like spruce. Then you gotta make the roof come out another block. You just use shelves, and they kind of give a bit extra depth to it without needing to go out a full block. And you kind of make it look like there's like a thicker like corner of it. That's kind of cool. The next thing I thought of the second I saw the shelf was this house right here. I forget what state this was. Let me check. All right, this is a house from Rhode Island I built in February during my Google Earth series. But I immediately thought of these shutters. I hated these when I built them. Absolutely hated them because the mangrove trapdoor has this hole in the middle. So when they announced the shelf, I guess they just dropped the shelf. I don't know if there's really an announcement or anything. I immediately just thought these are shutters that would fix my huge problem with this build. And I got a lot of people commenting stuff like, why don't you just use a door? So let's see what happens if we use a door here. Let's just entertain the thought. And yeah, that looks fine. Oh, there it is, boom. Can't put a barrier here, so we can't put a door here. So here would then have to be trapdoors. Or again, we could set it with world edit, but then like when I'm building, it would break, it would be annoying. And then up here, can't put a door here, can't put a door here. So you know what I mean? Like it's a problem that shelves actually do solve, and also survival friendly, obviously. And yeah, that looks just way better for the build because these holes look terrible. I always hated them. Real quick, as I'm replacing these trapdoors with shelves, I want to talk about something with the new Minecraft updates that I really hate, and I need to get mods to turn it off once this version actually comes out, unless Mojang adds a slider, and that is the new fog. It looks terrible. I hate it so much. It actually is the ugliest thing they've done in this game in years, probably. Like, actually, one second, I'm gonna go to the house area. But look at this. I'm gonna put a side-by-side on screen right now of this exact area with, you know, the old fog and the new fog. And by new fog, I think it came out in 1.21.6. I might be wrong. I haven't played any versions after 0.4, so this is all new to me. It looks so bad. I hate it so much. Look at that. I can't even see, like, that house over there. It looks like we're near, like, a forest fire. It looks terrible. It's like there's, like, a haze over everything. Anyway, back to shelves. I think it'll look good for, like, fences on, like, kind of, like, larger, like, fence gate sort of structures. So right here is a California Google Earth house. I think it'll look really good here. Like, I really like that. It looks very, like, structural, you know? I wonder if there's, like... They made these so small. It kind of sucks. I don't think there's anything I could put in there to make it look like it is, like, a handle. Really? Any banners? I don't know. Maybe something like that. You get the point. I think it looks pretty cool. I think it'll get a lot of use as a fence, actually. And we're back over here to this house again. Like, that's a cool-looking fence. It looks way better than this, in my opinion. Let's draw some fence designs real quick. Why not? It's kind of the spirit of this video. Yeah, I think there's a lot of, like, interesting fence uses for these, because they look super good. I kind of like this. It's like a really nice looking fence. Yeah, it's a really cool fence. I think I'd definitely use this in the future. This looks really good. All right, I think that's enough fences for now. Another use that was obvious, and I mentioned it in my video, I'm gonna put it on, like, flower pots like this basically every time I build a house from now on, probably, because that looks really good. Obviously, I mean, normally we connect to the ground, but this is on, like, a foundation, so it doesn't really, you know, do that. I guess I could put it in the middle too. I keep accidentally putting blocks in there. It's so annoying. But yeah, it just adds a little bit more shape to, like, everything. Ooh, the basketball hoop. I do like the shelf for that, I think. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, we could replace these too. Like, that just looks way better than that, right? Like, I'm not losing here. I like that a lot. It just adds, like, a lot of depth, and that has, like, a really good texture for garage doors, I think. I don't know, maybe not. Oh, wait a minute. I don't know about this specific, like, build, but the back of the spruce shelf has, like, these, like, you know, like, screws or nails or whatever, right? Like, bolts. The sign, like, perfectly fills that. That's, like, super cool. That looks really, like, structural, you know? Hold up. By the way, I know I mentioned it earlier, I found a way to still place empty signs, which is pretty cool. If you place a sign down, and you put letters in, and then you dye it, and then you remove the text and pick block it, you can place an empty sign, which is cool, but hopefully they just revert it anyway. But yeah, I'm trying to think of ways to use this as, like, a wall, I think. I don't know, something like that. I don't even remember what I was talking about. This took a lot longer to build than I was hoping, but it's just a few shelf uses I was thinking, like, in a build. I use this, like, thing. I was thinking of using it at first as, like, a transition into spruce, because it's kind of a bit darker. I still like the way it looks. It's kind of like a foundation sort of element. I'm definitely going to figure out a better way to use it at some point. But I just like how, like, perfectly that fits in there. I wonder if there's any other back textures that are interesting. Obviously, there's, like, the shutters and, like, foundation and that kind of stuff. Pretty, like, standard, I think. All right, most of the back textures are pretty standard, I think. That said, signs do seem to fit, like, perfectly in the middle of all these. It's kind of interesting. I wonder if that was intentional or not. I'm definitely gonna think of, like, some cool uses for that at some point, but I don't have anything right now, really. Except for, I guess, that, like, foundation sort of layer. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. Very interesting. Something interesting I thought of here, obviously not an amazing demonstration, but sometimes if you need, like, a vertical support, you put a fence, but sometimes the way it works out is that it would be even to have it between two blocks, basically. Like, there's no center. So if you use two shelves, it kind of creates, like, a block in the middle that's sort of wall shaped, but, like, between two blocks. So you use that as kind of a support for if, like, I think you know what I mean. If, like, the middle is not really, like, there's no middle, basically. So you have to use these. I think that looks pretty good, honestly. Yeah, I like that. I actually do like that. Maybe you could do trapdoors at the top, like it gets thinner or something. I don't know. Either way, it's kind of a cool shape. It has like a nice kind of intricate sort of shape to it, which I think I'm definitely gonna find uses for it. The shelf block, really cool block. Kind of just looks good as like a door. Maybe like for larger doors, it'll look good. 1 second. Like, you know what I mean? Like that kind of feels like a big door. That kind of looks dumb. They really have to fix this. It looks so bad. But I kind of doubt they're gonna revert it. Kind of a door handle, you know? Obviously, just imagine this like in like a church or something. I think it's cool kind of door block instead of trapdoors and stuff. Sorry, I'm kind of jumping around a lot, but on this house right here, I forget what state this is. I don't feel like figuring it out. I opted for, it's a fancy word. I decided to use red banners instead of mangrove trapdoors because, I mean, they were a bit brighter anyway, but it was kind of just more that I didn't want to deal with the holes in the trapdoors. But now, I think this actually will look pretty good. And I mean, it might even look good for the door. I like it. I mean, you can't use this as a door anymore, but I wasn't going to use it as a door anyway, you know? I don't want to overuse shelves. I feel like that's going to be a problem that's going to kind of show itself very quickly when these drop, is that they're going to be everywhere. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but it can be a bad thing. I think that looks good also. Just a bit more like intricate sort of details, because I remember this was like a very like highly detailed like trim for this door that I couldn't get in Minecraft. But I mean, with shelves, I mean, I can get a bit more, you know? It looks a bit better. I don't know. That might look terrible, it might look great, I don't know. Who knows? It's not the end of the world. But yeah, it's interesting. It's just cool to have like a new set of blocks really to mess around with. Can you tell I'm running out of ideas? It's candy cane, you know? I actually think I really like that. Kind of mix them on the roof. I'm not sure about like all the way up because I think on this part of what makes it blend so well is the fact that like you can see through the trapdoor a bit. So again, it's not like I want the trapdoors to be changed. I think it's just good to have an alternative with something that isn't transparent. But I think that looks good on the bottom layer. It's pretty cool. But like I mentioned earlier, the shelves aren't actually the only new change in this update. They also added these blocks, which I think looks so good. The copper like bars, I guess they're called, right? Yeah, they look really good. I'm assuming they're crafted the same way. I have no idea. I didn't look, you know? I'm a creative channel right now, you know, not a survival channel. But I think this just it just looks really cool, honestly. It's just a cool looking block. I'm happy they're finally admitting that copper needed more. Not to, you know, make fun of Mojang here, because I know that's kind of the popular thing to do right now. But I feel like a lot of people have maintained the idea that, oh, they don't need to do anything to copper. Like, it's perfectly fine how it is. And like, if they wanted to do more with it, they would have done it with the original update. And like, Mojang's good and blah, 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 you know? But them adding all these new copper features, you know, copper bars, copper chains, copper golem, copper armor, copper tools, chests, horse armor, you know, lanterns. It's them finally admitting that copper was kind of half-baked when they added it, which I think is pretty cool that they're going back and fixing it. Oh yeah, enough yapping. Also, I could put shelves here, which I think is pretty cool. I never liked birch trapdoors that much, but I think it actually might look better as like a mix. Something like that. I actually like the way that looks a lot. I don't really like the white square when it's in like a grid, but I think when there's one of them, it can make a cool looking centerpiece. All the builds here, by the way, are part of my 100 days series, which kind of kickstart this channel. I know a lot of new viewers might not even know what that is, but yeah, it's classic, and if you know, you know. I also got the copper bulbs, which I think fit really well in this build. I'm not sure how much I like the green. It's not the first choice I would have probably gone for. I think the torch looks sick though. Like, wait a minute, what light level does this give? We're a snapshot channel now. Okay, they changed F3. I forgot about that. Whatever. Either way, cool torch block. I don't even know light level right now. You know, who cares? I got a few comments on the 50 build tip video with the shelves that I forgot to mention using the back of them to kind of texture. And I thought about it for the video, but I ended up cutting it because on Bedrock, for some reason, the back texture, the spruce one, looked terrible. So, you know, it was like different than the other stripped stuff and it just looked bad. So I didn't end up mentioning it. But anyway, it does look really good. Okay. And for some things, this will be a very interesting way to add texture. I know that the stripped log was kind of a big deal for, you know, same reason, you know, adding some texture to stuff looks really good. But the only problem is that, yeah, you know, if you build interiors, it's not an option. It just isn't really, at least most of the time. So it's kind of cool. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of uses for it, but when I build interiors, I'm probably not going to use it. You also can't use it on a corner. So, you know, the usage of it kind of starts diminishing pretty quick. But I think it is a really cool feature, and I think it'll be used in a lot of cool ways, but it's just not something that I'm going to probably use a lot, I guess. God, please fix this fog. It looks so bad. Man, some of these old houses I built were like so sick. I might have actually fell off. I actually might have fell off. Real quick, I guess I'll mention, thank you guys for a year since I started taking YouTube kind of seriously with that house over there. 1 whole year since I uploaded this. Day 1 of building a house every day for 100 days. An absolute classic, and I really appreciate it. Let's see if we got shelves to here, you know? I think it's also interesting that we now have like a way to differentiate this kind of situation here. We have a flower pot touching a support pole, and you want to add trapdoors to this, but you kind of don't want it to look like it's one like mass, you know what I mean? So now when you use this, it's clearly separated and not the same thing as the flower pot, which I think is pretty cool. Obviously, it's not something that they were thinking when they made the block, but you know, I'm happy it's here. But yeah, just a few shelves on the bottom of the supports and everything look pretty good. Okay, that looks good. Again, same problem as before. The mangrove stuff sucks. I wonder if we could, yeah, that looks good. Makes it kind of continuous. The shelf, and then, you know, fixing that part. This is still a problem, unfortunately, but very, very good fix in some spots. I guess it's only red stripe on this build. It's a classic. Oh, there's one here. Man, that looks so good. That's really good use for a shelf, I think. Okay, they do waterlog, which is cool. You know, standard stuff. Probably actually looks pretty good as like a part of a dock. But nothing too crazy there. Man, I was in my bag. Wait a minute. Come on, these builds are sick, right? Some of these are really cool. I kind of like that. You can get like an alternating pattern without like needing this block to be visible. So like on the edge of a roof looks pretty cool. It's a cool build. I'm just glazing myself right now. That kind of adds really interesting slight shape to that. You see that? Yeah, probably not for this specific build, but yeah, that's like a very cool, like intricate sort of detail you could add. On a build like this where there's almost too many trapdoors, you could also like kind of just swap them out, and it looks pretty cool because it's like a good it's a good different texture. You know what I mean? Like I like that. That looks cool. Huge improvement here. The table leg or whatever that is. I don't know. Wait a second. Of course, subscribe. You guys should do that. Subscribe. Join the Patreon. Me from a year ago left that to you guys. Probably not quite a year ago, but me from a long time ago left that for you. So you know, you should consider doing that. I really don't like this fog. I really don't like it. I'm probably just complaining too much though. Kind of just going around trying to like think of different ways to use this, but I really can't think of many, to be honest. I think it makes a good fence, but I don't think it really fits this build. That's a cool fence though. I actually really like the way it looks as like crop fence. At least like the outside wall of it. If you use it on the inside, I think it's kind of weird because it's like not in the middle of the block, but I think it looks pretty cool. Obviously, doesn't actually keep anything out. Yeah, I think this looks really good as like a pot. I think it's like kind of my favorite use for it maybe, which I know is kind of underwhelming since trapdoors already did that. But it looks really good. I feel like that looks really good as like a porch foundation, which I know is kind of weird. Probably won't see much use, at least from me, because I don't know how often I make wooden. I guess actually I do make a lot of wooden porches. Wait a minute. I have no idea how long this video is going to be, by the way. Sorry, I think it's literally just me yapping for like some amount of time. No direction, just kind of building. So sorry if this is a kind of garbage video, but you know, my bad. That looks so good. I know you could of course make like barrels of stuff with it. You could do trapdoors before for that, but I like the way this looks. Oh, wait a minute. That's kind of cool. Like a small well sort of build. Oh no, it's not bad. I think I like it. I don't know, just another idea for it. I'm just kind of building whatever I think of right now. If you couldn't tell. I think I prefer trapdoors for the wheelbarrow. Just like the shape looks better. But maybe that's just me, I don't know. I think it can be used for like really tall roofs, kind of like ease it into it a bit. I don't know, I'd have to mess around with this on an actual build. Obviously it's just a floating frame of half a roof in the air, but I think there's some potential there. I think it looks pretty cool. I like the way it looks at least, I don't know. All right, I think this is a use for the signs on the outside I was thinking of earlier. Just kind of looks like a good like banister sort of thing, sort of like for a bridge or just something that, you know, you really don't want to fall off, obviously. Just kind of flying through my build tip world and looking for stuff for ideas. But honestly, I think that's kind of where I'm going to call it. Kind of just went around and added shelves to a bunch of random stuff this video and just talked about my thoughts on the shelf and that kind of stuff. Sorry if it's kind of a nothing video, you know, if you're expecting something more interesting. I don't know how this video is going to do, but yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you everyone for making it to the end of this video. If you did, you know, consider subscribing. That would be fire. I'd appreciate that. You know, like the video, join the Patreon, join the Discord, all that stuff, the classics. And of course, as always, thank you to my patrons, Aelic, Amirali, Dragon, ThaMango, Luke T007, Agony, Tommi, and E. I appreciate your support. And yeah, I'll see you guys next one. Thanks for watching.